People have this weird obsession with defending multi-billionaire companies for arbitrary reasons, so if the title and thumbnail are enough to enrage you, thank you for boosting my view count and good luck with your next video. For everyone else, I think Echoes is a fine game. I enjoyed it and even 100%ed it, something I haven't done for Tears of the Kingdom even now, but unlike so many out there who seem incapable of saying anything bad about it, I have complaints. Let's start with the positives though. The game is essentially a sequel to A Link Between Worlds and follows a similar linear structure which sometimes opens up for variety in dungeon order. The atmosphere is similarly light and campy too, which is a nice change of pace after the 3D Switch titles. Following Worlds means a return to traditional dungeons, and I'm happy to say Echoes doesn't break these as some expected. Instead, each dungeon and their surroundings come with unique echoes that function as key items used to solve puzzles within, which I think is a good compromise between traditional key items and the openness Aonuma's been obsessed with since Breath of the Wild. That said, I miss how the Switch games' temples let you complete objectives in any order, so I hope future games find a balance between that kind of openness and traditional progression as well. Despite having a lighter tone overall, the story fits much better with the overall Zelda mythos than previous entries that are all but confirmed to be in a rebooted timeline. For example, the original 3 goddesses are referenced. The world didn't just forget about them in favor of a monotheistic religion no one knew about all of a sudden. I think Nintendo cares about lore is the funniest Zelda joke I've ever heard, but even I started wondering where this was set in the timeline. I suspect it's before Minish Cap, if you're curious. Since you don't play as Link, you learn more about him than past Links too, funnily enough. I for one really like this version's reason for being mute, which works so much better than Wild's Link's he feels too burdened. Now for the negatives, and I trust those too immature to handle these have already told me my mother was a hamster and father smelled of elderberries and left. If not, here's another chance to do so. The biggest issue are the echoes. The one you'll notice just from watching gameplay is Nintendo learned nothing from Tears. The menu for selecting them is still terrible, and sure you can sort them on the fly, but searching for the right one is still a pain, and sorting by most used just incentivizes not experimenting. You can open the inventory screen at any time, but you have to remember how echoes are sorted there. And what if echoes that are important but rarely used by design, like carrots used to summon Zelda's horse? Then you get the redundant echoes that you'll only use once or are outclassed by others which, and you'll especially hate me for this, remind me of Balan Wonderworld. It should have been so easy to improve this system. For example, some enemies have level 2 and 3 variants. Why not place them in the same menu slot with a separate up-down toggle? Why is there no favorites menu? Why is the menu we have still a straight line? Even by the endgame, the down button does nothing. Maybe that could have been used for some echoes? Why were those one-time only echoes even included in the first place? Next, for a game supposedly about Zelda and her wisdom, it has a lot of combat, which is bad enough considering she can't fight without the limited sword fighter form, but gets insufferable with echoes in the mix. Their AI is atrocious. Even when Z-targeting to tell them who to hit, they'll go for the wrong target or whoever you targeted previously, assuming you can even reach your intended target in the first place, and even if they do understand who to hit, they'll get caught on level geometry, so it's better to just spawn new echoes for new tasks, but they're all so slow they'll get killed before doing anything. The last one is better with some bosses, but the other issues are exacerbated in their place. I doubt going full puzzler or platformer like The Witness was ever in the cards, but a recent interview revealed Zelda was only the protagonist because the devs couldn't justify Link using echoes when he already had a sword, and her only being here because she was an afterthought shows painfully well. It's not because this is the first Zelda with a female director, though that's still praiseworthy, late as it was to happen. But to reiterate, I still 100%ed this game because exploration is still fun. The puzzles are simple, which is another sign that Zelda was never the intended lead, but they're a good fit for the grid system which limits how non-combat echoes can be deployed. I'm baffled there's no rotate option for beds and the like to build better paths. Finding caves is fun, and the light-hearted nature makes side quests fun to complete. If you thought food and made the 3D Switch duo too easy, you can only have 20 smoothies at a time and only get them from vendors. We still can't overlap effects, but they aren't as important this time around. This game isn't perfect, but it's still fun. If I were to give it a number, it would be a 2 out of 4 or 7 out of 10. Part of me is worried that if people criticize echoes too much, Nintendo will blame it on Zelda being the lead, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I really want them to make another Zelda-led game. I just hope that one really is a Zelda game with magic and a true focus on puzzles or stealth, and not a we threw Zelda in here because Link made no sense game. To end on another positive, I don't get the complaints about the frame rate. I'm sure for a frame rate snob, not staying at 60 feels like a war crime committed against you personally, but if you're worried about the game dipping to 30 FPS like most games out there, I feel so sorry for you. Maybe I've just been lucky, maybe your purchase also depends on the frame rate, but every review I've seen or watched so far makes it sound like Echoes chugs as hard as Tears of the Kingdom did, and that is just completely completely false. My most important point of all, though, is to let Grezzo out of the Zelda dungeon. They've been in there far too long, and I want to see them make their own games again, like an Ever Oasis sequel or remaster. And no, a random iOS title doesn't count. Why did Nintendo make them send the first Ever Oasis out to die on the Switch in 2017? To those of you still watching, thanks, and as always, have a great day.